Welcome to this TOEFL iBT listening practice video. In this session, we'll simulate a real test experience to help you build your skills. You'll hear a lecture excerpt once, just like in the actual exam. Take notes if you can, as you won't get a replay of the full audio. After the lecture, questions will appear one by one on screen, with pauses for you to think and answer mentally or on paper. If a question includes a short replay of a specific part, listen closely. Ready? Let's begin.
Listen to part of a lecture in an environmental science class.
Good morning, class. Today, we're diving into the concept of keystone species in ecology. You might wonder why certain animals or plants seem to have an outsized impact on their environments. Well, a keystone species is one whose presence or absence dramatically affects the structure and function of an ecosystem. The term comes from architecture. The keystone is the central stone in an arch that holds everything together. In nature, these species do something similar. Let's start with a classic example: the sea otter in the Pacific kelp forests. Sea otters are predators that primarily eat sea urchins. Without otters, sea urchin populations explode, and they devour the kelp, leading to what's called an urchin barren, a desolate underwater area with no kelp. Kelp forests are vital. They provide habitat for fish, absorb carbon dioxide, and protect coastlines from erosion. When otters were hunted nearly to extinction in the 18th and 19th centuries, these forests collapsed. But conservation efforts brought otters back, and the ecosystems rebounded. This shows how removing a keystone species can cause a trophic cascade, a chain reaction through food webs. Another example is the African elephant in savannas. Elephants are ecosystem engineers. They knock down trees, creating grasslands that support grazing animals like zebras and antelopes. They also dig water holes during dry seasons, which benefit other species. Without elephants, forests might overgrow, reducing biodiversity. Poaching has reduced their numbers, leading to imbalances in some areas. Not all keystone species are large predators. Take the prairie dog in North American grasslands. These rodents burrow extensively, aerating soil and allowing water to penetrate deeper, which helps plant growth. Their burrows provide homes for owls, snakes, and ferrets. When prairie dogs are eradicated as pests, the grassland ecosystem suffers. Soil quality drops, and dependent species decline. Why is this important? In conservation, identifying keystone species helps prioritize protection efforts. For instance, reintroducing wolves to Yellowstone National Park in 1995 restored balance. Wolves controlled elk populations, allowing willow and aspen trees to regrow, which stabilized riverbanks and boosted beaver populations. It's a success story, but it wasn't without controversy. Ranchers worried about livestock. To wrap up, keystone species remind us that ecosystems are interconnected. Losing one can unravel the whole system. For your assignment, think about a local species that might fit this role and research its impacts. Questions?
Now answer the questions about the lecture. You will see each question on the screen. Question 1 of 6. What is the main topic of the lecture? Question 2 of 6. According to the professor, what happens when sea otters are removed from kelp forests? Question 3 of 6. Why does the professor mention the reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone? Now, get ready to answer the question. Listen again to part of the lecture.
Why is this important? In conservation, identifying keystone species helps prioritize protection efforts. For instance, reintroducing wolves to Yellowstone National Park in 1995 restored balance. Wolves controlled elk populations, allowing willow and aspen trees to regrow, which stabilized riverbanks and boosted beaver populations. It's a success story, but it wasn't without controversy. Ranchers worried about livestock.
Question 3 of 6. Why does the professor mention the reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone? Question 4 of 6. What is the professor's attitude toward the concept of keystone species? Question 5 of 6. How does the professor organize the information about keystone species? Question 6 of 6. What can be inferred about prairie dogs from the lecture? That completes the questions for this lecture.